I know last week I told you that I would be making videos in Finnish, and I totally changed my mind for various reasons, and one of them being that whenever I edit the videos, I don't know, I'm not skilled enough yet. I don't know how to edit the videos in such a way that I could then just upload the subtitle file on YouTube. So I had to then create the subtitles on YouTube on top of editing and finalizing the video. So I just thought, why would I be doing this if most of my audience is in English? So I would just actually create videos in English, because this just feels better now that I've made some mistakes and learned from them. I'll just keep creating videos in English. This week's topic was actually about authenticity, and I was thinking a lot about that topic and how to stay authentic, especially when you're creating videos online or like for social media, YouTube, TikTok, because I feel that you have times when you have like the spark of authenticity and you would then create material out of that, and you feel when you watch that material, you feel like, okay, this is so me. I can sense my personality coming out in these videos. But then again, at some point you feel like you are upholding this personality, that you only have like this one side to yourself that you are trying to upkeep, which is completely untrue. And instead, I think we should all be focusing on what makes us feel good, even if that goes against other people or your audience or your friends. And in this case also, I was feeling like I wanted to create videos in Finnish, and I just came to the conclusion that even if that would be like the authentic version of myself, that wouldn't be the way I could serve my audience the best. So then I obviously changed my mind, and it's okay to change your mind. But like I said, the original topic for this video was authenticity, but then I started to think about a lot of things, specifically creating videos for YouTube and creating videos for social media and really trying to make things out of it. And you probably know from my channel by now that I am still a small creator, and there are a lot of things that at some point I thought were going against me in being a creator or a content creator. And those were my age, my nationality, so not being a native English speaker, and my education in totally different fields. At first, I always thought that I couldn't be speaking about like manifestation, visualization, because I have no education in neuroscience. So I thought, this is only for those who have that education. How can I effectively and professionally speak about these things? Like that my experiences matter and my experiences are valid to be sharing them with you and for you to learn from them. I don't need to have this education on that field, even if I thought I had to. So this, I think, is so important in when you're starting your journey. And overall, the topic for this video, I thought I want to discuss about this topic of becoming. And by becoming, I mean that what are those things to keep your authenticity as well as creating a brand or an image for yourself. Because obviously we cannot stay the same and then evolve at the same time. You need to completely shift what you have within yourself right now, or the things you represent needs to really shift. Because I had this experience this week where I was missing my old job. I was missing the job that I worked during the summer. I was working in the harbor. And even if that job in itself wasn't something that I like really dreamed about or wanted to be doing, because it's quite hard at times, like physically. Also, if you really work overtime, you're exhausted, you can't sleep. There's a lot of mental and physical stress you're carrying. And even if I remember vaguely what it was during the summer, now that some months has passed, I feel like I kind of miss it, even if I know that that wasn't for me, and it still isn't for me. But then I realized why I'm missing it. It's because I identified with the work. I identified that I had something that was solid, it was something that was safe and secure, something that I knew that was there every day when I went there. I didn't have to do anything extra. And if I did, that was also automated. So I didn't have to create ideas or write content. I didn't have to do anything new, and I didn't have to push myself, which felt so secure. And this is also a place and state where I've been operating from for years. And I feel like only now that when my summer contract ended and I was able to fully immerse myself in content creation and writing my blog and just doing these videos, I started panicking because I realized that the security and safety that I had with the job was no longer there. And even if this was the universe's or God's way of telling me that now you have all this time in your hand, you cannot work even if you wanted to, like in this same secure job, but I'm actually pushing you forward to creating that content that you've been speaking and talking about all the time. Like, this is your moment to do things differently, even if it doesn't feel comfortable. Because again, how can we feel comfortable in something that we're not really familiar in doing? The comfort comes from learning learning things and creating habits out of those, or making them familiar for yourself. You can become advanced in whatever you do if you just keep doing it. But most of us oftentimes give up because we feel that if we don't know how to do it just yet, we can't see ourselves doing that thing professionally or with more knowledge. So we oftentimes might stop even before we actually begun doing anything or changing any habits. I haven't been speaking too much on this channel about like personal things because I feel that this channel is more for educational purposes, but I do feel that our personal experiences are so important in understanding the journey that we're on. And I wanted to really bring more light to my situation as a content creator, educator, and artist, because when I started to do photography, really wanting to become an artist, a photographer, I had no one that I could look up to. I didn't really know how they got there, and it felt like I had to figure it out on my own, which all of us have to do that at some point. I was really missing someone who could direct me on my path and to maybe even tell me that it's okay when you don't have a job. It's okay that you are struggling. It's okay that your circumstances might seem that you're not moving forward. It doesn't happen overnight. It never happens overnight. Once we start, we have this mentality of like, okay, now I'm going to see things shift immediately. But it always takes time because you're not doing things physically, so being aligned physically by activity with your higher self, but you're actually also shifting your mentality, and that's what takes time because your thoughts are more stubborn than your physical body. You can command your body to do things, but your mind requires more work, and that's what many of us is not willing to do. And I started to think about how we can leverage the privilege that we have. As many reasons as you can find to not do something, you can always find reasons to be able to do something. We might oftentimes think that other people are more privileged than us, that they have different starting points, they were maybe brought up in a family that influenced them more or supported them more, or maybe their financial situation was better when they started out. Like, we always make excuses that other people are having it better than us, which on some levels is probably true because there's always going to be people who are doing things better than you, or they have better starting ground than you have. But if we're using the same analogy for the people who didn't have anything, who have things worse than you, and they're still trying to make it, and they're still trying to hustle, and they're still trying to do things, even if nobody believes in them, even if they don't have financial security, even if they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but they're still trying to do it. So why would you use excuses to not do something instead of looking at the people who are doing something, even if nothing is going their way, even if there's nothing they can leverage in order to go forward? But I actually do think that each of us has something we can leverage. For example, when I started this channel, I was always thinking I was too old to do this because I was over 30. I just turned 37. A huge issue for me also was that I wasn't speaking English as a native. So I thought that I would be repeating words, my speaking wouldn't be fluent, or I would have other difficulties in getting my experiences out on video. And you should see the first videos that I created. Like, those videos are not well made. And I'm not speaking about editing skills, I'm speaking about how I was delivering what I wanted to say. So remember that everybody is starting from somewhere. Yes, you might have difficulties. Yes, you might have time restraints or a family or a job, or maybe you're not financially capable. But remember that most of us has an iPhone. Most of us has a laptop. Like, you have access to those things. And even if you don't, like, there's libraries you can go to. You can even film from your laptop. You don't need to have like the best image quality. You don't need to have all those expensive equipment. I still film with my iPhone. I still have my digital camera, which I use at times, but I feel like sometimes setting it up might take too much time. So I'm creating habits where I have a lower threshold to cross so that I can film. You know, if I feel like there's too much to be done in order for me to film, I will try to make it as efficient as possible just so I can get a video out. And even if I look back on all the videos that I've created, and I can feel proud about myself and all the videos that I've made, because I truly believe in those things that I am advocating here and educating, sharing with you. I wouldn't say that I have times when I'm 100% feeling like doing what I'm doing. Like, for me, I know that if I start and if I immerse myself in the uncomfortability of whatever I'm doing, it becomes more comfortable and familiar for me, so that I become better at it and I become better at doing it, whatever it is. Let's say like editing, filming, equipment, lighting. Have as many excuses as you decide to create. Why wouldn't you look at the thing that you might have excuses, but those excuses will not stop you going forward? And I understand life is challenging. I mean, there are a lot of things that we're going through every day, like family life and work, and we have to keep ourselves healthy and still meditate and sleep enough. Like, there's a lot of things that we need to execute every day, and it's really draining. I know that. I watched this one YouTube video where Ali Abdaal, I think his name was, he was essentially opening up and explaining how you can create videos with just 4 hours per week. And you probably have this 4 hours. Even if you're telling to yourself that you don't have it, you probably do. Because even if you would work 8 hours a day, sleep 8 hours a day, you still have 8 hours to use to your advantage. And yes, at times we are tired. And yes, sometimes we actually don't have that 8 hours because we have other plans and we want to socialize and be with our loved ones. The question essentially comes to, how bad do you want it? I've been visualizing so deeply and intensely. I've also started EFT tapping again. I also started to exercise more, to really put my head into the space of already being that person. Because yes, you might have setbacks. Just, take a break, take 1 day break and then get back to it. I got really mad at myself that I've been creating things and doing things and getting to that mentality and really mental space where I know my skills, I know my abilities, I know that I'm capable of things, but then I just didn't see what I wanted to see in results. Even to be super honest, I've been watching some YouTubers here that started at the same time when I started, and I can see their growth. I can see that they've really made something out of themselves, and I'm just like, why didn't that happen to me? And the answer is super simple. I didn't invest as much as they did. Not mentally, not time-wise. I didn't look at the videos critically and think about what is the message I'm sending, and is the message worthy? Is this what the audience wants? Is this what the community wants? Am I sharing things that are authentically me? Or am I trying to create content that I think is important or I think that needs to be done? When I asked this question, I started to really critically look at my content, look at the visuals, look at the topics that I was discussing. There's always something you can create and be better at. You might actually be tired of trying to do things, trying to get there. But if you think about, do you physically feel in your body when you're stating to yourself that, let's say, I am a successful content creator, or I have a successful job, or I have graduated from X place? Do you feel that in your body? Like, can you physically feel that statement to be true? This is where the problem lies, because you can be doing all sorts of things. You can be meditating, visualizing, EFT tapping, but if you don't feel that you are in the space, that you are already that person that you want to be, you will not see the progress. The change only happens when you are aligned both mentally and physically. So with your actions, you need to take aligned action and do those things. Whenever somebody says that you have to already see yourself as that person, it doesn't mean that you only visually see that, so in visualization, but you have to mentally think that you are that person, verbally speak that you are that person, and you also need to physically feel that you are that person. And the way you can really raise this physical feeling of being already there at your end goal is when you are aligning your actions with that version. When I started photography years ago, I remember thinking that I was this famous photographer, right? Like, I had this vision in my head and it was really strong. Like, it was something that kept pushing me forward, photographing, applying to schools, really redoing my portfolio. Like, I had all this energy in me to do those things in a different way, but I didn't believe myself to be that person one day, so that my actions didn't quite align with that version of myself. So I was doing some things, yes, but I wasn't photographing more. I wasn't pushing myself to do collaborations with others. I didn't think that I need to learn more about, the camera equipment. So I had a lot of blockages that I didn't examine, even if I was doing something. And I thought that me doing something was enough to get me where I wanted to be. That's why I think that a lot of our manifestations don't really come to fruition, because we are using way too much time in visualizing things instead of trying to clear the blockages and truly aligning with that version. Like I said, you can be doing certain things, but there might be things that are left undone. You can actually do a simple exercise where you create an avatar for yourself, this person that already has those things. And when you really look at that person, you really look deeply who they are, what they do on a daily basis, and then by implementing different steps, you start becoming that person. And again, I use YouTube as an example because this is also a video for myself and for you guys. You cannot be a YouTube creator if you don't post regularly, engage with your audience, try to make every video better than the last one, research topics, maybe do those subtitles if that's an obstacle for you, that you want to speak in a different language but you're not reaching the right audience. Then start doing subtitles. Look at the aesthetics that you have in your video. What kind of creators are you looking up to? How do they look? What kind of lighting they have? All these simple little things. And obviously when you're starting out, you cannot have everything in place. Instead of using like 5 years of your time to become that version of yourself, by aligning your current self with that future self. So be honest with yourself. Don't listen to what others are telling you about your content. Don't listen to others if they're telling you that you are too old to start, you don't have the skills or knowledge to start, or you cannot speak to start, like you don't speak properly in order to speak and record that and create videos based on that. Don't believe anyone telling you anything, because most of these people will be from your family. They might be your closest friends who don't know how to pursue their own dreams, and they will try to bring you down, and they might not be able to look at you going towards your dreams because it will trigger something in them. So do not listen to the people around you. Try to just dim those voices as much as you can. Take time from your day to do that thing that you want to do. Just know that it's not a one-time goal. Just create a habit out of it. Do it consistently. Try to get better as you go. Do not listen to what others are telling you. You can always ask opinions, but remember, when you ask for an opinion from someone who is not in the place where you are, you will hear an answer you probably don't want to hear. So be mindful of that. Just move in silence. Like I said, this week's video was about to be about authenticity, and maybe it was in the sense of me coming out like myself instead of creating a video about how to be authentic. But I still have that video planned, and I'll probably create it next week. Go after your dreams. That's all. That's the message for today. Okay, lovelies. I'll be seeing you next week.